Hello. Thanks for coming. 2 watchers. That's great. Um, so I just played. The match that we have on screen, and I was playing the red checkers, and I was playing against. Oh, I just had feedback. So yeah, I was playing the red checkers against Ian Tarr, who I don't think I've ever played before, and there were lots of really interesting decisions. So I'm going to go through them, starting with just going through the match from the start, because the match is like a story, and you can what am I trying to say? It sort of unfolds before you, and it's all connected to each other. So I'll give you an idea of what I mean, or what I'm trying to say when I'm actually going through the moves. So let's just start. Ian rolled a 5-3 to start with. I rolled a 3-1. Ian then rolled a 3-1, made his 5 point. Then he had a 6-4, and he made an unusual play here, where he chose to hit, I suppose, seeing the benefit of being able to make the 4 point if it works out for him. But of course it's just too risky to actually hit on the 4 point. Too many return shots for me, for red. And also just hitting here on the 14 point escapes your back checkers. But anyway, that's not an interesting decision, but that's just what Ian chose to do. So I hit twice with a 4-6. And then when Ian came in with one man with the 2-5, I doubled instantly. And so this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, not just playing the match in isolation, playing each position in isolation, but playing in some sort of flow where everything is connected and dependent on what has gone before. And so I didn't want to take too much time. When I queued, I wanted to create pressure for Ian, and what can happen when you do that is that the opponent can sometimes get a little bit confused or pressurized, and a few things can happen. One of the things that can happen is that they pass instantly, whether or not it is a pass, or they can not think correctly about the cube decision. Are there any other things that can happen? I'm sure there are, but I can't think of them. In any case, I think you're more likely to get your opponent to make a bad decision if you cube quickly in this sort of scenario, especially when your opponent has a checker on the bar. And then I'm not sure if I was thinking that at the time, but afterwards I realized that cubing this would give me a lot of information about how my opponent dealt with this position and dealt with being cubed, because I could tell from the length, mainly from the length of time he took to make his take pass decision, what he was going to do with cube decisions. Also, the actual information as to whether he was going to take or pass was going to give me information on whether he was more of a taker or more of a passer. Now, all of that is dependent on whether or not I know this is a pretty easy take, which admittedly at the time I didn't know, but I didn't have time to think it over. Anyway, I hope that's not all too long-winded. But those are the kind of things that are being thought in the background, I believe, when players are getting into positions like this. And I genuinely didn't know what Ian was going to do. And then he took... And then I rolled a 5-1. And I can see that I can hit twice, but I just immediately dismissed it because I can see Ian's got a better board. So I didn't really commit too much thought to that either. I'm trying to sort of balance out the decisions, not think too deeply about things which I kind of know fairly quickly are right, and therefore don't require too much second gear thinking. And one of the things that I tell my students is that it's often difficult to shift gears in thinking. And sometimes when you shift up to second gear, the gear that requires even more thinking, it can be difficult to get out of that gear. So you stay in it for too long and waste time, and you kind of get stuck. So I just took about 2 seconds, maybe what felt like 2 seconds, and played 13-7. Anyway, all the interesting decisions to come. So he rolls a really bad number, comes in with a 1-6, which means he has to expose a second checker. And then this is another play where now I just played it instantly because I didn't want to start engaging with thinking, because I know myself that if I think if I go into that second gear, I will spend maybe a minute on something which might lead me into time trouble later. And my instinct, I just went with my instinct play, which was to make the 21 point, to play 6-5, noting that most of Yellow's turnaround play, most of Yellow's equity is when he manages to hit you loose on the 4 point, because he's got a better board than you. So it seems to make sense just to anchor up here. So that's what I did pretty quickly. So anyway, we're going back to the sort of overview of this match. And at this stage, I'm feeling pretty comfortable. The main thing I'm trying to keep is control. In a game where, you're trying to make the best decisions, but I'm also trying, in a match where I believe I have an edge, I'm trying to reduce variance and also volatility. So at this stage, I'm feeling pretty good, making the anchor with a 4 point prime. Ian rolls 6-5. Again, he can't really do much with that, just play 2 down. And then this double 5, I found pretty tricky. And again, I didn't want to take too much time on it. I looked at pointing on the 2 point and making the 3 point. And then I rejected it because I realised that if Ian comes in with a 4 here, then I've actually made his life easier. Even though if he does come in with a 4, I have some numbers that can hit loose. But if we look at the position before the roll, I've actually got, the fact that I've got a prime means that Ian simply cannot win the game until he rolls like 3s and 2s, then 5s and 6s after he rolls the 3s and 2s. So I know I'm stating the obvious, but I just wanted to kind of get my thought process absolutely clearly down. So I went for making the 3 point. I thought the 11 point just let out too much tension, in that if I was to make the top play, which was to play these checkers to the 11 point, then it makes Ian's life like easier. He also knows he's less likely to make a mistake with the checkers. He's less likely to be tricked into leaving shots when he shouldn't, or the opposite, the other way round. So I went for a play that made the 3-point, obviously not knowing that it wasn't right, but that's what I went for. Still pretty happy. And then just going back to the 5-5, it's always for me these decisions that shift a lot of freight that can do so much and so many different things, which we're going to find difficult, and I'm sure other players find them difficult as well. It's almost a bewildering number of things that what the role can do, and it's that sort of paradise or overabundance of choices that makes it difficult. It makes it difficult just to knuckle down and try and work out which is best, especially when we come from decisions that are very easy. So I'm scrolling up, for example, this 5-1. We play it instantly, and then we've got to change our mindset and move into second or third gear, possibly, and then hopefully not get stuck in it and not overthink. So anyway, I went for the 3-point. Ian again rolled just a very poor number, because he needs obviously 3s or 2s or 1s at the back there, and he rolled neither. He rolled 4-4. This 4-3, I played quickly, fully in the knowledge that I could well make a mistake, but again, I'm trying to play on this idea that the more quickly I play, the more likely I'm going to get my opponent to make a mistake. Now, again, maybe all these things are really obvious and people know them, but it's taken me a while after all these years to disentangle myself from trying to play at a very low PR, as opposed to actually trying to do what you're meant to do, which is win the match. So I'm very much trying to win the match, and the reason why I'm doing this kind of run through is because I wanted to cement it even for me that this is how you play backgammon. You play according to the situation and according to who your opponent is and what you think they might do. And then Ian rolled a pretty good number. He came in with 2, and he comes in, more importantly, on the 4-point, which is what I don't want at all. And now I'm sort of feeling a little bit uncomfortable. And then I fan, of course, that's awful. And then there's a few numbers that can really turn it round and put Ian at a sort of, it can make him even money. And I was quite proud of myself or it might just be cognitive bias, but Ian took this cube quite quickly, and I had a sense that he was going to play aggressively. I don't think I've played Ian before. I have met him, so I might have had information from there. But something told me that he would recube early if necessary. And so therefore I didn't have the luxury of not being recubed in this situation, and that put extra pressure on me. Wonderful to know. I do notice the like. It's lovely to know that I'm not just prattling on rubbish. So he comes in with a 4-2, and then the 5-4. I kind of switched off here as well, because it's like whatever he rolls, it doesn't really matter. I'll just kind of wait to see. I sort of look away from the screen a little bit, maybe my attention on something else. I've got another window open, a YouTube video open, and I'm looking at other stuff, and I can just wait after the roll to see what happens. I don't need to watch the dice hit the table on the internet. But actually I wasn't aware that he rolled a 5-4, and then he made the ace point, which would be okay, but then, for me, you're really trying to use these spares in front of my checkers here. So what you're really trying to do is use these spares to hit loose or make the 4 point. Of course, you can only do that with a 2-1 or a double 1. But nevertheless, it's not really a good idea to overshoot the checker that you want to hit on, that you want to point on. And of course, the most obvious, I always say the least obvious point first. The most obvious thing is that you want to come out. So I didn't really notice that much, and XG shows that his 5-4 is actually an anti-joker because there's a happy face for me. Then I fan again, so it's getting a bit dicey. The 5-2 hit. I come in with 1, which is, I suppose, okay, but since I'm not making the anchor, I've still got a few things to worry about. And the computer says that Ian's not quite even money. He's got 41%. And so then he rolls a 5-1, and I noticed this. This is consistent with the way he plays this 5-1. Is consistent with this 6-4 play. So Ian likes to just get it over and done with, and hit this checker and play sort of uber attacking, and sort of not think about, not care, not be concerned about the consequences of being hit back. Which is why when he rolled this 5-1, his first thing to do was to hit with the 1, and then if you're going to hit with the 1, I suppose hitting with the 5 isn't so bad since you put 2 checkers in the air. But of course, the play in itself is is a blunder. But I think I would have just played, I didn't even see this, I probably would have played I probably would have hit, and I haven't seen what the computer wants to do. Ah, right, okay, yeah, double the, excuse me, so the computer does want a double hit, which I think I might well have played. And Ian doesn't, the point still stands that Ian doesn't want to go for this normal play of hitting, and that his first instinct is to hit. So I would have thought that if he's going to hit that, then he would probably just hit twice, since you get so much out of it when it works out. Anyway, so he didn't do that, and then I roll a 2, and now I'm back to being a massive favourite because he needs 3s and 2s on both sides of the board. So the theme, again returning to the point of this run through, is to treat the game as a narrative, as a story, and to not only talk about the plays, but to talk about what we're feeling, how long we take, what we think about the opponent, how we're going to adjust towards the opponent, and things like that. And so after a little bit of a swingy, where I was really not happy, I'm kind of, even now after the 1-5, I'm very, very happy to be on the bar against a 5-point board when he needs 3s and 2s. And then, you know, what I tend to do is just look at what his best rolls are. And even if he rolls like his very best, maybe it's like a double, well, not double, 3-3-5 here, he's still got so much work to do. So I can just kind of predict his rolls and not be too phased by them. And then I come in with the 2-4, which has got to be good because it's better than not coming in, I would have thought. He rolls a 5-4 and I'm still in good shape, and then I get lucky with a 2-5, which is just going to come straight out because I've got 4 checkers on the bar. And then I was predicting his best number here, and he rolled it. And so I thought, why don't I predict a 2-5 for me? But it didn't work. I rolled a 2-1, which is good, but now I was getting a little bit sort of like antsy. where am I? I was thinking, where am I in the game? And that is not a great place to be, because when you have doubt, then you're going to start to make bad decisions. And then he rolled one of his best numbers, a 2-5. I can't remember what I was thinking, whether I was paying too much attention to that. And I saw this 2-1. And again, going back to this theme of playing quickly, so you just don't give your opponent too much time to think or to notice that you're uncertain. And I kind of played 5-2, and then I think I might have taken it back because I really didn't like, not only when you play this behind one of your open points, then you not only do you give him a 2 to hit, which isn't going to be that good for him, you give him the even better parlay or opportunity to roll a 4 and come in on the 21 point, and then you're pretty screwed. And I was like, but what else can I do? I was looking for a clever play. I didn't notice that you can actually make the 4 point here, which seems like is pure, so it maintains the possibility of... What does it maintain? Well, you're not going to be able to make the full 6 prime, but it at least gives you the opportunity, if you make the 4 point, to remake the 6 point with a 2 or a 1 later on. But anyway, that's what I did, and true to what I had thought, Ian recubed like really quickly. He's like, and I was like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. But this is the key, and I'm not sure whether I'm right or I'm wrong, but I'm very happy with my decision. I actually thought that it was a pass, and I'm completely way off, and I don't really understand why. Not that it's not even a redouble. What I don't understand is why it's such a big take. Now, I believe it's got something to do with this sort of general principle, which I haven't quite fathomed, that when you are facing recubes in longish matches, or let's be more specific, in matches, let's say to 9, 11 or 13, you don't just want to give away 2 points, because it's just too much. It's too big a percentage of the match, even in an 11-point match. Even when the guy's got like shitloads of gammons, so more than half his games he's going to win. 36 of 61 are going to be gammons. So I completely misevaluated the position, but that's not the point. The point is look, I just thought, right, well, if it's close, I don't want to get gammoned in the first game and be 4-0 down against someone that I believe is going to make mistakes in the rest of the game. I definitely don't want to shorten the game and give him a chance to get lucky. And then if I do manage to hold out and get lucky, I'm not going to be wanting to recube either, because I don't want to give him then the chance of taking and shortening the game. So I just passed really quickly. I wasn't particularly concerned about the blunder, or whether it was a blunder. I was just sort of finally, after all these years, starting to play with, what the purpose is, playing with that purpose in mind, which is to win. So I just thought I can go 2-0 down here. And so I did. And then we went on. So I started off game 2. I was 2-0 down with a 6-5. Ian split with a 6-4, which is fine. I was lucky enough to hit with the 6-2 on the 16 point. And then double 5. You can go to the 5 point, okay. Make the 3 point, okay. So he did what my first play is. Okay, well, I don't know exactly why it's so bad, but I think I probably would have made the 3 point, hopefully, rather than just keep a point slotted in my board, which is what playing to the 5 point does. So then 5-1, I wasn't sure whether I should double hit, but I noticed that because he's got this blotting board that I can just hit on this. I'd much rather make the prime and make the bar than overextend and go for a blitz. So noticing that he's got a blot here means that when I hit like this and he's in the air, if he does hit me back with a 3-6, it goes like this, bam, that my checker will be able to come back and hit this checker with 15 numbers. What a complete mess of arrows. But so because of the blotting board, I can just play pretty comfortably, play 16, 11, 8, 7 hit, which is what I did. And then this is exactly what happened. He did hit. I wasn't aware of this. And then I managed to hit not just once but twice, which has got to be a good roll. Double 2 is a good roll. I was surprised that he made the 11. And then after he made the 11, I thought, that's quite a nice play. But I mean, I would have made the 4 point just to be able to unstack these checkers because they have nowhere to go is so important that I would do that. So he made the 11. I felt 5-4 was a pretty good number. So this is like now I've got a route to safety. Like I can start to win this game. I go to the 11 point. If I get missed, I can make the bar or I can make the 5 point. Yeah, this is a roll that is a very easy role to play because you can see how how you're going to win the game from here. And then double 6, I would have made Ian's play, make the 2 point. This was a very easy play for me. Again, not taking any time because I know that outside points are strong. So even though I can minimize shots by moving the blot on the 7 point, I just didn't give it any thought, knowing that I can't move it and create this extra point on the 11 point. So I just played 2 down without thinking. So that's, again, how to conserve your energy. Not needing to think about a play like that. Then I came in with a 1-2. Sorry, where am I? So Ian managed to hit, so I go all the way back. So my advantage is gone, obviously. He rolls a 4-2. I didn't want to come up to the 22 point with this 3-2, so I didn't. I just stayed back. And then Ian had what I thought was a really tricky double 4. Like, I saw making the ace, and so why do I find this tricky? I mean, I was even looking at it for Ian and feeling uncomfortable for him. Why do I find it tricky? Because I think really what I'm trying to do above all is escape my back checkers. And when I roll this double 4, I see immediately what's uncomfortable is that I can't do anything about my back checkers. And not only that, it looks like I'm going to have to make a play that sort of overshoots this concept of overshooting one of the bare points in my board, assuming I'm Ian here. And I don't want to overshoot a point in my board unless I really have to. And obviously it seems like, because I can't move this checker either, that I'm going to have to do that. But you'll see what happens later, the consequences of this. Now that Ian makes this point, it changes the whole dynamic of the game and it becomes very blitzy, very attacking for him, and puts me in a lot of gammon danger. And I was starting to think this with the 3-2. I was like, oh no, he's going to cube, and I know that this is a take. I knew this was an easy take, but I don't want to take this. And so I took some time here after he doubled, and I counted the shots, and it doesn't really make any difference if you count the shots or not. It's like, you know that there aren't enough to make it anywhere near a pass, especially as he's leading 2-0. So I counted all the threes plus 2-1 and double one, which is 14, plus 6-4 is 16, plus double 5 is 17, and then just to double check that double 6 doesn't hit. But then double 1 and double 2 are going to switch, and I was like, ooh, okay, this is going to give me even more reason to do what I want to do, which is to pass, because I think that I can still get some juice if I go 3-0 down. He's still going to make mistakes. And so that's what I did. And I hated to pass it because, you know, so many numbers don't hit at all, which is when you win. And even when you do get hit, let's say he rolls a 2-1 and plays 6-3 hitting, I could even fan once. And then, you know, let's say he rolls a 3-2, then he's only going to have about 15, 16 covers. So I might get another chance to roll a 3. So I knew this wasn't a pass, and it goes against all my kind of XG copying instincts to pass this, something like this. And I don't know whether it's right or wrong against a player of Ian's ability, but I just thought, like, okay, just let it go and play from 3-0 down. So I went 3-0 down. I played the 4-3-2 down, which I hate doing because I hate getting hit like this. I hate having more than 2 men back. Double 1 is going to make the point. So 6-5, he's kind of almost fully escaped his men. 4-1, I noticed that I have to do something to improve my contact. I've got to initiate contact even more, much more than it is now, which calls for a play that either like going to the bar point here or just splitting to the 20 point. In fact, going to the bar point, I don't know why that's so bad. But anyway, I made the right play. I didn't think about it too much. Where is 23-18? Okay, here it is. And then Ian had one of these tricky 6-2s to play. All I know is you don't put 7 checkers on the mid, and you don't strip the 8 point. But I don't know how to make the. I don't know. After playing backgammon for 25, 30 years, I don't know how to play these numbers. I probably would have hit loose. Yeah. But it likes also playing 15, knight, a8, 6. But it's interesting to note, not that just that Ian's play was wrong, just to note the magnitude of the error. And it makes sense. It's like you just destroy your position when you put a man there. Even if you get missed, you're forcing yourself to roll a 4. A 6 isn't going to help you because you'll have to break the 8 to cover, and so on. So this is just an example of a play that loses you so much. It loses you so much. I mean, the computer, I still, again, after all these years, I can say, well, it's 0.1, but really, I don't really know. I don't really have a sense of what that 0.1 is. And in fact, as I'm starting to improve, I'm starting to realize that 0.1, even though it says is only a 2% error, that's pretty significant. It can really affect your chances of being able to win the game. So I think that was a poor play by Ian. And that's the first play he had to get right. He had to. All his other plays were pretty easy, and then I rolled he sort of. It fell into my lap. 2-6 would have been. I don't know how would 2-6 have played. Well, it would have come in, and I would have missed him on his 5 point. And now look at the swing, massive swing. So he rolls a double 2. And I just knew for some reason that Ian, with this double 2, I thought, well, he might make the 11. But even if he makes the 4, I knew he's not going to want to come up. Because, I don't know why, again, probably cognitive bias, he just happened to not to come up, and it proved my inkling. But he made this play that is just so destroys your chances of being able to bring the game home safely. And this is how it looks after the play, just to put a man on the 4-point, which is going nowhere apart from, onto the 3-point. You don't really want to make the 3-point that much. And then the 2-point and the 1-point. So you should always, everyone knows this, just put your checkers in good places. Don't put them in bad places. And on that exact note, coming up to 21 is a good place. It's like, it's sort of coming under the gun, but it's the place you want to be to escape. So just put it there. Unless, you're playing some weird variation where if the guy rolls 3-3 and points on your head and makes the 6, 5 and 4, then you immediately lose. Then that might change the equity of the play. But here, in normal backgammon, you just can't afford not to make sensible thematic plays. And then, let me get it back onto initial. By the way, if anyone, I would love for someone to ask a question just to know that I'm kind of making sense and it's useful. But I guess it is because people have liked. So 4-2 is a fantastic number. I don't need to think about making the anchor. I mean, although I did think about making the anchor, I quickly rejected it because he doesn't have a spare on the 8 or the 6. And look where the spare is. The spare's here, whereas it could have been here. And he could have been here. So he just Ian handed me the advantage. And then I just knew that there were a lot of bad rolls here. And Ian played 13-6 and then he second-guessed himself. And I just thought, well, I'm going to cube anything because he seemed uncertain. I mean, I got the impression that he didn't really know what was happening in the position. More specifically, I think it can often be very scary to be too protracted from the edge of a 5-point prime, and people can certainly pass cubes like that, but also preparatory before actually passing the cube. You can put a lot of difficult doubt in their mind, and it sort of messes with people. And like, it's not a kind of sadistic thing, but you've got to do that to give your opponent really horrible decisions. So I thought, well, it doesn't matter what he's going to play here, I'm going to double anyway. And then I knew that when he took the 13-6 back, I thought, oh, he's going to hit twice, because he does that, and he's showed that he likes to put checkers deep on deep points in his home board. And then that made the cube much easier for me, because I in fact thought it would be a pass. So I would have been delighted for him to take. So, and I knew it wasn't going to be too good. I because yellow can easily get back in this. So the double was very easy, and I kind of rolled it out quickly, and I can't believe that it is actually a small take. And I got lucky. I hit. This 3-3 foxed me for a bit because I didn't see the play. I didn't see that I can just point on the 3-point. All I saw was, for some reason, put bar 22, 7-4 twice, 6-3. So I was pleased that I saw the play. It took me, but I was a little bit annoyed that it took me some time to see it. And then he rolled this 4-2, which is like, it's his best number, is it not? Better than 4-5, better than, not quite as good as 2-2, obviously. So it's his second best number. And yeah, I was pretty bummed out. And then what happens when I'm bummed out? I'm like, I'm a little bit edgy and don't want to focus on playing my next dice roll. And then I had to sort of take a little time and, just get a bit more settled. And I was wrong about this. I kind of thought, I knew I was just going to make the 9-point, and I sort of visualized in my mind what it would look like to make the 20-point. and just play 9 to 6. But I just thought, well, there's no need, just make the 9 point. It's so strong. But it's actually quite a bit wrong. And I suppose that you're in a little bit of danger. These checkers, 7 checkers here, are dying to just hit something, get to work. So I don't know why I'm kind of okay with that, but I shouldn't be. It's like he could have rolled like a 5. If he rolls a 5, which is not good for him at any other anywhere else on the board, so it's diversified, then I can be in a little bit of trouble. And then I rolled this 5-2, and again, this is this quandary like I had with the double 5, which is that basically you can do 2 really good things, and I don't think I was going to make the anchor, but it's tempting. It's like you certainly don't win enough as many gammons, but you kind of lock up the position. But then I realised that if you do make the anchor, then you give him a direct route to victory. So I would guess that you win far more games by sending 2 men back. I notice, now that my tendency is to want to kind of lock things up, but I soon saw the merits of hitting twice, even if I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with my checkers once I hit twice. Was I going to break my 5 prime to hit him when he comes in? I didn't really know, and that was part of why I felt uncomfortable. So Ian fanned, which is obviously great for me. And then this was a case in point. I thought, well, I should make my 2 point because I'm just trying to gammon him. Simple as that. And I thought about this for like 30 seconds, and then I just didn't want to, didn't want variance, and I didn't want to get stuck. As ridiculous as it sounds, I didn't want to get stuck with these men here. So I just made the bar, noting that, if he comes in with a 2, maybe I can hit him loose there. I'm probably going to have to if I rolled a 5-4. If he comes in with bar 23 and just still has 1 man on the bar, then if I roll some random 5, I can hit him loose then. So I don't need to do it now. And on 4-ply, the computer hated my play, but kind of warmed to it on XG Roller Plus. But I hope the arrows don't go. But the standard equity play because gammons pay against a normal, against an equal opponent, you should just make the 2 point. But fair enough. So now when Ian came in with a 4, I was gratified, if that's the right word. I just thought, I'm pleased with myself that I didn't make the 2 points, since the 2 point losing, having lost the 8 and the 7 point, and to having 1 man on the bar here, you wouldn't be very happy. Conversely, having kept the 8 and the 7 point and keeping a 5 point prime, I just thought, what a great play I've just made. And even though it was the wrong play, I'm still kind of happy with the play. And then again, this same theme. I had a double 6. Do I make the 2 points? And I'm just so uncomfortable to leave these checkers out here and to leave them stranded. This is the play that I would have made in a heartbeat, a few years ago. But now I just don't like to do this. If he comes in with a 4, sure, he's got a crappy board. That's one of the reasons why it's the best play. But still, I don't like to do that. I want to just be able to leave him shots and keep my 5 point prime, so that I've still got winning chances if I get hit. So if anyone's just joined, I'm going through a league match that I just played. The UKBGF has a fantastic 2-pronged system in place this year, because we're not going to be able to play live. So we've got a league, and I think there are something like 30 divisions, and almost every conceivable backgammon player in the UK is in that league. And then we've got a knockout to complement the league. And this was my first round knockout match against Ian Tarr. And what I'm trying to do is just go through the match, obviously giving my thoughts, but also try and show how I'm adjusting my play, mainly my cube action, to my opponent and what I think he's going to do, and trying to pick up on things that he's done in the early points of the match and use them to my advantage in the late points of the match. And after playing quite a lot online over the past year and a half, I believe I've improved a huge amount by just paying a little bit more attention to how to win the match than just to look at each player in isolation and just try and play a low PR. So we got to this point where I just played this double six. I didn't make the ace point, which I could have done. This is after the roll, but before the roll I had a double six, and I had to break the prime somehow, but I wanted to bring the checker from the 17 point in and make it easier for me to come in. And then Ian had a double four. And he was seduced by, I immediately knew or thought this was wrong. You can't afford to make the 17 because then you don't have another 4 to play. And you can't leave me a shot with a 4-point board, simply too big. And I was delighted to have been left a shot. And then luckily for me, I hit it. And this makes my job, it's difficult to bring these checkers home. And when you've got a man in the air, it's makes it so much easier. So that's obviously why, he shouldn't have left me a shot here, because this is third of the time now my route is guaranteed. And he carried on fanning. I made a bit of I overthought this. I just thought it'd be easier to come in if I ripped the checker off the 9 point. I thought it makes it easier for me to clear the 9 point, but it's wrong. I don't really understand why. And then I played this quickly. This time I did make the ace point, thinking, I just want to win a gammon, but I can just clear the 9 point and leave no shots. This is interesting. I don't really understand why this is so much better. If, taking into account that XG wanted to do this with the double six and make the ace point. Anyway, I don't really know, but I'm sure obviously it's right. So yeah, I was trying to bring my checkers home, and I managed, and I did what I wanted to do. I rolled well. What did I do? I think I made a mistake. No, I didn't. Double 5 to 1. Yeah, I made sure that I was even on both the 6 and the 5 points. And then I made a mistake here. I always do this. I'm desperate to try and clear the points because I've got this thing inside that tells me that, well, obviously now if you clear this 1 point, the only point that you can leave a shot on here now is the 5 point. Whereas before you clear it, you can leave a shot on either the 5 or the 6 point. But you leave 6 full numbers when you clear the 6 point, and it's just too much. And not only do you do that, you take if you don't, you forego the chance of taking 2 men off. So it might seem obvious to you guys to take 2 men off, but I always get, it's almost like there's a suction thing sucking me in to clearing the 6 point, and I just can't disentangle myself from it. And that's one thing. It's so it's one thing to see and understand the errors, but it's another thing to unhabituate yourself and just make the different play. It takes so long, at least for me. Anyway, I got lucky. Double 2. I cleared the point, and that was that. Okay. See, my PR was, ghastly, but I feel I played really, really well in this match. Didn't use up too much energy, and I'm very, very happy because I won it, and that's the goal. So anyway, I won the gammon, and now, being ahead in the score, this is what the computer doesn't take account for. The computer just says that 4-3, 7 away, 8 away, the match equity is whatever, 54, I don't know what it is, 54%, but this huge psychological advantage to being up in the score. And this is something that I always used to say, oh no, we're not human. I used to diminish my sort of human side, but just to be for him to have been 3-0 up and to now be 4-3 down makes a massive difference. To be gammoned as well. So this all started normally. I just wanted the 3-1. If you can't come up to the 20, if you can't come up to the 21 without having to leave the 5 point slotted, you might as well make the 5 points. It's a more of a permanent asset, so that's why I did that. And then Ian 6-5, I would have preferred to play 2 down, but no biggie. I rolled a very good double 6, and then after all these years, these are games, these mutual holding positions, which I really still I'm not comfortable playing, knowing when to, and a lot of people have difficulty with this, knowing when to knowing when to actually leave the anchors. So here I know that I've just made the 18 point, and like it's a thorn in my side, and I'm going to be like constantly worrying whether or not I should be leaving it or not. So the pip count is my friend here. I know that, like, unless like it's some freaky position, if I'm not going to be up in the race by like 2 or 3 or 4 after the roll, I can completely discount running. And so I can play pretty quickly. I don't think I'm going to leave shots, so I'm just going to play 13-5. And again, I'm not running, but now I've got like awful, if I do play him board, I've got awful distribution, and although he's not going to be leaving his anchor either, I didn't want to play the right play, and what I did was stupid, and I kind of thought afterwards, why am I just leaving a shot here? Why? It's just giving him, this is what it looks like after the wrong play, the play that I made. I'm just giving him like a 2. Like, it doesn't matter what he rolls with it. He's going to be delighted to hit, looking at my absolutely disgusting board. So I was just pissed off that I made that play. And fortunate for me, I wasn't punished. I mean, it's just, why would you make that play? I didn't so much see Ian's 5-4. I was just like really concentrating on when I wasn't going to leave shots, knowing that now I've got no men on the 8 point, like where are my 6s going to come from? And then I rolled this double 5, immediately noticing that what I really want to do is play 18-8 twice, but you can't do it because it leaves a shot. If I'd have played my other roll correctly, I would have been able to play 18-8, you see, because this checker, this guy would have been here, would he not? I would have just been able to swing these guys round. But now I give myself the opportunity to make a humongous blunder, which I didn't do, but I definitely didn't consider this play, which is so neat, but just seems so anti-positional, seeing that you're 12 pips up in the roll, in the race, which isn't that much, but he's got like an open 4 point and some wastage, so I just never saw that. So my play, anyway, I gave myself the opportunity to make an enormous blunder, but I didn't, luckily. And what do we have here? Back to the, so I made that play. Yeah, this just isn't great, having 5 checkers on the midpoint. I was like, I can't cube now. I mean, I don't have the 8 point. I definitely can't cube without the 8 point. My market, with 5 checkers on the mid, I've got no market losers. But even when I've got 4, I've only got like double 3, double 4, double 5. So I definitely can't cube. So it's not a great position to be in. And then again, I almost left a shot here because I figured this crappy logic that he might well make his ace point, and then what if I roll something that forces me to leave a shot? But this is just dodgy thinking, because very few numbers force me to leave a shot, even if I make the 3-point. And he's not necessarily going to improve. In fact, he needs 2s or 7s or 12s, so he's like even money, possibly, to make the ace point. And when I make the 3, this is what swung it easily for me. I've actually improved my board a lot, so that if I get a hit, I might actually choose to hit him and not be so scared, because my board's going to be pretty good. So I rolled a decent 4-2, and now I rolled, thankfully, my first easy number to play in a long time. Gets a checker. Like, my plan is clear, meaning that my route to winning the game is obvious. It's just to get these checkers in from the 13 point and get enough of a race lead to cube and just to win the race. And then now he's got a 5-point board and didn't pay a cent's attention to leaving a shot. There's no reason to leave a shot here. And I strengthen my board. 6-4 is an easy roll to play, and then like 5-point board. As much as I hate it, I have to admit I hate to break the 5-point. This is why I still make blunders in these mutual holding games positions, because my instinct is to want to like play purely, but you can't. This is where all the old school Iranian players come out trumps, because they love breaking their board. They'll put all their checkers on the ace point and stack them up so that they reach the sky. And then, yeah, I just was comfortable enough in this position to know this isn't a cube. Like, 3 men, like 3-6 crossovers, nowhere near a cube. I'm like only even money. And then I knew that Ian's 5-3 was wrong. I mean, I thought it was. He should just stay there. It makes it a lot more difficult. Some of my 6s are going to leave shots. A lot of my 5s, 5-3, he makes my 5s really awkward, since if he stays there, I'm going to have to like play my 5s from here and waste, and that's just nasty. And the resulting what it does to my board factor makes it much better for him to just stay and be a thorn in my side. But it's kind of something you see or you don't, I think, and I just sort of saw that. And then when I rolled the 6-2, I was like thinking, I'm going to be homing in on a cube pretty soon, but not yet. I understand these positions now. You should just not think too much about the race here, because it's so skewed. What you should be focusing on is basically crossovers and how many rolls it's going to take you to bear off all your checkers. And when I get into a position where I'm on roll and likely to bear off my checkers 1 roll before my opponent, then I can start thinking about cubing. Then I noticed that Ian's 3-3 is a good roll, because it's one of the rolls that actually why is it such a good roll? Really, he only needs to take 1 checker off, since taking 2 checkers off doesn't help him. Taking 3 checkers off, even though he goes 1 roll ahead, having 12 checkers, he's going to be left with 12 after this. He's going to have a gap and he's likely to miss. But then when I rolled my 5-5, this go, which is obviously exceedingly lucky, and Ian then rolled his 4-3, I felt he was going to be a bit confused. And I just thought, after I did the video on these positions, noting that, I'm on roll. I've got 12 checkers on the board. I need 6 rolls to bear them off. I'm not going to miss, basically. And Ian needs 6 rolls as well, but he's likely to miss. So he's likely to need a double, but simply most of his doubles aren't going to work. The only doubles that are going to work for him, 6-6, 5-5, 4-4, 3, 2, 1, don't really gain that much. So he'll either have to roll 6-6, exact 6-6, 5-5, or roll back-to-back other doubles, or just not miss. And I just figured that there's no way he can do that. And when he took, I was surprised, but the speed with which he took made me think, maybe, I don't know, maybe could be a take, but I just thought, I'm pretty happy he's taken. So this is where it got really interesting. And this is what I'm talking about. So the score here is 4-3. If I win this game, I go 6-3 up. But all I'm concerned about really at this stage is just not losing a big cube, and happy to maintain the score evenly, to go from 4-3, 4-all, 5-4, just to kind of creep it up to 11. Even if it does take a long time and draws out the match. And then Ian rolls a double 3, which I wasn't sure what the implications of this were, since although it takes 2 men off, it leaves a big gap. But then actually seeing that now, obviously it leaves him with 6 checkers. And I somehow thought he's going to be seduced into cubing this. And even though it took me some time, I took some time over this just to check. This, I didn't realise it wasn't a redouble. No way did I realise that. Perhaps because we tend to completely undervalue the equity we have as the person that's been doubled. But I immediately saw, I was like, what, any 3? Only double 3 is good for him. So we can immediately say that if he rolls 6-3, 5-3, down to 1-3, that's 10 numbers. So I've got basically, let's just for simplification's sake, 10 out of 26 times. And then this goes on to whether I should be recubing. And I was thinking, will I be recubing if he misses? 10 out of 26 times, which is 10 out of 36 times, which is about 27%. I've got 20, let's give myself 27% immediately. Then I can give myself just the normal equity I have in a 3-roll position, which is 21. So I've immediately got 48%. So it's a little bit less than that because he can roll doubles as well. Or why is it less than that? I'm not sure. But I knew immediately that this is just a trivial take. So I took my time, but then I took it. And it's weird because the guy can easily roll like a 6-5, 6-4, and then you think, well, should I have taken that? Or at least I do. Or he rolls a 5-2, and then he can still miss, but now he's only got one chance to miss. So I took, and then he rolled the dreaded 3, and then this is where it comes to whether or not I should have recubed, knowing who I was playing against. I was like, well, I thought about it before, like, what if he misses? Should I be recubing? And I kind of felt, well, I'm not going to recube this. Because, if I recube this, it's for the match, obviously. And what was I thinking? He's just like one double behind. Like, of course, he can roll that double, and then I can come back with a double, but I knew it was a 3-roll position, and I didn't want a double. I didn't know that it is actually a big redouble. Against a normal player, I probably would redouble because this situation came up in a match I was watching online, the UK against Germany. Someone had a similar situation where it's a dead cube, and I can't do better than this reasoning, which is that even when you're slightly ahead, if you've got a cube such that after you give it, the cube is dead, and that you're basically a pretty decent size favourite, then you should give it. Since if you don't give it, you're going to be doing pretty good in the match, but you're not going to win the match. But if you do give it, you're going to win the match. And you're going to win that match 78% of the time. And it turns out, of course, that this is just on the basis of match equity that Ian should take, since that if he passes, he's going to be 8-3 down. He's going to be 8 away, 3 away, and the match equity obviously is less than the 21% he has here. So I wasn't aware it was such a big cube, but I think I probably would have been delighted to cube if I was playing in the Nordic or something against any decent or very strong player very happy to take my chances in a 3-roll position. I mean, it's difficult to roll a double in backgammon. Yeah, so I was happy with my decision then. Had I been able to see the evaluation, I would probably not have been so happy. I would have been like, maybe I should have cubed. I don't think Ian would have passed. So we can rule that out. If there was a chance that Ian was going to pass, then maybe the recube is even more called for. Anyway, so I went 8-3 up. 5-3, great roll. 4-2, I would have come in on the 23. Then the 4-1, I would usually hit, but seeing that I'm way up in the match, I want to reduce volatility and not leave blots, so I just played 13-8. 5-1 is not a good roll. Yeah, Ian should. You see that it seems maybe a little bit fancy for some players to slot the 5-point here, but the idea is that when you have such a sort of a shitty roll that you can't really do anything with other than one thing, which is duplicate the 4s, then it really behoves you. It's sort of even more incumbent on you to do that one thing that the roll allows you to do. That, I think, is the concept. And then, of course, when you're down in the match, like, you really want to do that. You just don't just want to make some sort of passive, normal play, which just doesn't get you a foothold. It doesn't allow you to get in a position that you can cube from. I rolled a fantastic 6-5. So now I'm like thinking, oh, like, I can actually get away with not being cubed in this game. So these are all my secrets. I don't want to be cubed here. I just don't want to reach a position where he can cube me from. And even after the double 1, I'm like, I'm pretty comfortable. I got decent chances of escaping the man. And then the 4-2 is a pretty good roll. And I know that if he doubles now, I'm snatching. He rolls the 6-4, and now I'm uncomfortable. So forget about that. I've just rolled a 6-5. Like, basically, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, like, he's going to double me, basically. And I don't want that. I know he's going to double. He always doubles. He's aggressive, or he knows when it's a double. It is a double. And yeah, it could be a situation where I make a big blunder. But I figured that even so, I thought, well, like, most of the time, when I say most of the time, on an average out of all my rolls in this position, because I'm on roll here, I think I've got to take, because I've got a 3-point board and he hasn't hit me yet. It hasn't put a second checker back. I can just escape my 1 checker. So as unappealing as it is because of the score, I've got to take. And then I did roll the 6-5, and I just thought, I can play this quickly and try and stop him from cubing, but I know Ian is going to cube anyway, so I might as well just take my time and just try and eke out as much equity as I can. And I basically ruled out the second best play. I don't know why, but let me talk about why I ruled out. I was considering 13-2 or 13-8 and 13-7. And I ruled out 13-2 just because even when you get missed, this is often the case, that you need to roll. Well, okay, no, you're going to cover it with 6s and 4s, so you have enough covers, but you don't really want to make the 2-point. Conversely, although you give a lot more shots, because you've got 5 checkers on the mid, having brought 2 checkers down, you're going to have 3. You're going to have one whose natural home, if you roll a 6, is going to be to make the mid, and your position is infinitely better if you make the bar than if you make the 2-point. So I was neither right nor wrong, actually. Oh no, it was better than 13-2, but it might well very not have been. But the point is that as long as you have a good reason for making your play and it makes sense to you, then, you know, you should make it. You should not do what I think I've been doing for years, which is just kind of play by memory or sort of copying or pattern recognition. Yeah, so that's why I did that. And I, you know, you make a play and you reap the consequences. You sort of say to yourself, well, I'm going to be cubed. Do I want to be cubed having put the checker on the 2 point, or do I want to be cubed having put the checker on the bar? And am I going to be happy to take? Where am I going to be happier to take? And I figured that I didn't know whether I was going to take or not at the time, but I figured that if I was, then I was probably going to be happier with the checker on the 7 point. And then, of course, Ian cubed. It's the easiest cube in the world, and I'd already pretty much decided I was going to take. It's like one of those situations where you're kind of wedded to the position. Like, so the basic for an improving player, what's going on here is that you don't really want to take a cube like this. You're 8-3 up against an even player. You don't want to take a cube against someone who's potentially not as good as you. You definitely don't want to take a cube. Why else would you not want to? Well, it's basically those things. The score is a massive, massive factor. And also the score means that, you know, on the unlikely occasion where you do have a recube, you're not going to want to recube. But let's see, maybe I do get in a position where I should be recubing, even at this score. But I sort of told myself I was going to take, and I just felt it was a take, whatever that means. Like, I just thought, well, he still needs to hit, and even when he hits, I've got like 4 open points in his board to come in on, so I'm good to go. So, like, a very good variation happened for him, which was, you know, he hit, and I hit back, sure, but I came in on the 24, so this cannot be a good variation for me. So after this variation, even before the double 5, like, I'm not completely dead, I don't think. So if I'm not completely dead after a really crappy variation, then the take can't be all that bad. And what am I saying? And then I rolled the double 5, and it's like, okay, well, there's nothing to be done here. You're either just going to sit back and get gammon, but you can just relax. It's not your fault, you know. I noted that I noted that I'd done what I wanted to do, and I was going to stand by the consequences, reap the consequences. And then I rolled this just ridiculous double 3, which the difference between double 3 and, you know, even the second best number is pretty big. So double 3 is going to be the best number by, it's going to be a lot better than 3-1 or double 1. And I'm not sure if you can see this on the feed. If I put the dice distribution menu, I don't think you can. But it's almost like a 0.6 difference between double 3 and the next best play. This is an insane joker. Like, it's not just, you know, jokers are not about just rolling one of your good numbers. It's sometimes about being able to only roll one number and the rest of them being like basically useless for you. So 3-1 is good, but it doesn't do what double 3 does. And it was so good, I didn't really know whether I should be making the 2 point or not. I knew I was going to come up to the 21 point. And I have to say I was even a little bit disappointed when he rolled a 2, but now I just feel I'm never going to get gammoned, even after a bad 1-5. Double 4, he played really well, actually. I think I would have pointed on the ace point, so that was a good spot. And then I knew I was going to struggle with this double 4. I didn't want to, I could have done this and just left no shots, but I just wanted to try and win the game. I just thought if I do this, then he can just come in and I'm lost. I'm going to give him a shot and so be it. And it wasn't right. It's too big to do that, I guess. And he fanned, and then I made the board, and he fanned, and I was thinking, oh, all I need is a 6, really. So I get a 3, which is pretty good. It's not a 6. This was a misclick. I always misclick on heroes. And then 4-2. So even now, I'm like, I've still got a little bit of chance. I got a little chance. Even now. You see what happens. 3-2. You know, you've got the anchor. Computer says I got 25. Well, sorry, before the 6-4, I got 20%. You know, it doesn't look like a 20%er, but it is. And then the 6-4, from nowhere, I've got this race. I've got like, what have I got? Like 35%? 34%? From nowhere. 6-5, I don't fully understand this. I could have made 2 crossovers. I understand that. What I did, but I put a checker deep. Okay, but I'll look at that later. But anyway, again, rolling an insane joker, and now getting to position. I know this is going back to what I did a video on a couple of weeks ago. Well, I've got 2 checkers, so I still need 7 rolls. He's got 12 checkers on the board. He only needs 6. Like, I know he's going to miss, but I don't need to think about cubing here because of, I know his take point's like so low that because I'm 1 roll behind, it can't be anywhere near. It can't be anywhere near. And let's have a look. The size of the blunder would have been, you would be giving up like more than a point on average, which is enormous. She's ginormous. So I knew that. That I was good enough to understand. And then when I rolled the double 1, I was like, this is actually interesting. He only took 2 off. And this is where I thought for a long, long time, knowing that. So I need to refine my thought processes on this. But again, what I work through from is the number of rolls I need. So I'm in a 5 roll because I got 9 checkers, so I'm going to need minimum of 5. And my opponent's also in a 5 roll. So I'm basically going to win, right? 5 roll, 5 roll. And then I know that my opponent has basically only got to catch up, because he needs to roll a double to overtake me. He's only got double 6, double 5. That's it. And then I thought for a long more, and then I noticed, well, he's got kind of double 3 as well. So where does that leave him? Well, double 6 is a 1 in 36er, which is 2.75 whatever %. If you add that, let's say he's got the full double 6, double 5, double 3. So 3 times 2.7, he's got about 8.1%. That's what he's got. He's got like 8, it's given him 8%. But I know that's pretty close to the take point. But at root, I knew I wasn't going to cube this because I just didn't want to give Ian the chance to roll a big double. And although I love getting these cubes right, I chose just to, I rolled. I didn't double. I was a little bit worried about what if I roll consecutive 1s, but you know the computer says he's only got 6.6%. I mean, it's like you can see just clearly he's got no chance of winning this game. And then I just cubed immediately, and I have to say that Ian took his time over this, and I think there was a chance that he was going to take this, which argues for not redoubling. I played a match against Julia Hayward, and we had a similar situation where I missed lots of cubes, not on purpose, but where after I missed them, I hadn't realised that she might take when her winning chances were extremely low, and she did actually take, making it a very big blunder of this sort of magnitude. So you've got to remember that your opponent is going to be confused in these sorts of positions. And it definitely pays off to try and learn what's going on in these bear offs, because they're a lot of fun. So I just went 10-3 up, and I thought, this is going to be it. I'm just going to win the match from here. Easy peasy. 2-1, not slotting. He rolls a 4-3. I hit. Everything's going swimmingly. 4-1. I thought about making the bar, but then I don't want to leave him any shots. And what was the other reason for not making the bar? What was the other reason? I can't think. But I didn't. Then he rolled not such a good 5-2, and I carried on hitting. So, like, I'm kind of happy, but I know that he's still got 5 checkers on the 6 point, 4 checkers on the 8, that he can just continue hitting me obliviously, and that there's still a very good chance that he's going to contain this man, because he's just got so many checkers to do it with. So it's kind of good that I've hit some of his checkers, but it doesn't really get me into safety territory. And the 4-6 he correctly hits with a 2-1, and I'm kind of back there, and I'm in a little bit of danger. Now, the other thing to note is that he's an even number of points away, so I don't want to lose a gammon here. Which can definitely happen. He's got, 13% gammon, so he's got a significant number of gammon wins here. And I carry on rolling this 4-2, and I make a mistake. In fact, I should just not be giving him ones, but again, it's a mixed it's like good and it's bad. I would much rather be out than hitting. If I could choose between hitting his checkers or just being transported out by a big crane onto my 8 point or 6 point, I would choose the latter any day. And then 4-3, I just chose to come out and not be hit in my inner board. And he made a strange play, which I thought might have been a misplay. I misclick. I wasn't sure. And then double 4 was just such a good redistribution of checkers on the 11 point. It was too easy just to do that. Not to hit loose, not to get checkers sent back. So I'm starting to feel okay about the position. I know that it's going to be difficult to win the game, but I might not get gammoned. That's a pretty decent situation to be in. And it says that, I only lose 6.3% gammons from a position like this. 6-4 I found tricky. I won't talk too much about it, but I decided to clear the 12. And then the 3-2 was okay. Double 6 makes it easier for me to know what's going on. Like, I don't have to think. It's a forced play. 5-4, I instinctively just rip the checker off the 11 point. But actually, as far as I can see, when you do that, you leave shots next go with lots of 6s. So I don't know why that's right, but I guess just to give yourself a chance of clearing the point, even if it does leave a shot when you clear it, at least you give yourself an opportunity to do so. But I've never fully understood that. And then the 6-2 is like prolonging the agony. Double 5. Yeah, I'm not sure why Ian didn't go from the 21, because now he gives me direct 6s to hit him off the anchor, which he doesn't want. But he hits me. And then I had this 6-3 play, which I almost completely fudged until I looked at it for a second and realised that when you look at it, it's very easy, actually. So the natural play is like, I'm going to get gammoned, I don't want to leave another checker. Okay, but that is sort of curtailed logic, and if you do that, you don't get to the meat of the issue, which is that when you actually hit on the 3 point and play 17-11, it's still very unlikely that you're going to get gammoned. You're still only going to get gammoned 10% of the time, which is not that much. It's 3% more than just playing with one checker. But if you're not going to get gammoned that much, then the upside is huge. And if you haven't seen what the upside is that you reduce the number of shots significantly. So he's got 11 threes, 5-6, 5-1 and 4-1. He's got 17 shots that way. The other way he's got 25, 26, I don't know, 24. So you reduce the number by 8 shots. Not only that, but you make the follow-up pretty easy. Like, if he comes in with a 4, you can quite often get this checker safe and then just win the game. So this, I'm very pleased I got right after thinking about it, and I almost got it wrong just because it's sort of a knee-jerk thing just to leave one shot. And then I got hit, and then, you know, I was like sort of, my focus, I've got 2 screens here, so I was looking at the other screen, and then I noticed that, oh look, he still didn't hit the second checker. So the gammon fears turn out to be ungrounded. And I suppose how bad it is to lose a gammon, it's not that bad. It's pretty bad actually, but not that bad. So having not lost a gammon, I know I can take with impunity. I would advise people not to cube first go when they've got a good chance of getting their opponent to drop a take or take a pass or pass a take. It's just too easy to unless you're playing against the computer, there's no real... I would advise not to cube on the first go here. And then the 3-1, just trying to play with few spots as possible. Like now, so what was happening here at 6-5, like now after the 3-1 I'm a little bit on edge because there's a fair amount of blitz in this position. He can roll like a 6-2 or a 3-2, stuff like that. Make the 5-point and hit loose, and I'm in a bit of trouble, so I wasn't that happy. 2-2, I would much rather have anchored up than roll 2-2, but 2-2 is a pretty good roll, so even though you don't defend at the point you want to defend, you defend by giving your inner board some teeth, and then you make the 11-point, which is pretty strong. And then a very good play by Ian, just hitting, like the upside is huge. 1-6 I thought about for a little bit and realised, like, well, if I play 8-2, there's going to be pressure on me, natural race pressure to come out, like, on subsequent goes. If there's going to be natural pressure to come out on subsequent goes, then it suggests that the right player is to come out right now. And as horrible as it is, I did it. And in fact, the second best play isn't even to... Well, second best play and the third best play are very close, but 11-5 is almost as good as 8-2. So that's why I just came out. Seemed to make sense to me. And then Ian, like, just made a play that, again, you can't quantify the blunder, but it just lets me get back into the game. Like, he's got an advantage and he just scuppers it by doing this. So giving me any 4, any 1. Any 1 is not fantastic if I don't roll a 4 with it or come in with a 1-2, 1-3 or a 1-1, but it's still pretty good. And then I got 2-2 as well, and then there's 3-3, which is pretty good as well. So that's already 4-1, 22 numbers and 14 good, 14 bad ones. So it's just giving me so much to hit twice here, and I roll a massive 2-2. Let me go back to initial so that we see what it looks like before. Thirteen 11-6-1. Yeah, so this was where I had difficulty. I didn't want to leave the anchor, but I didn't want to play 8-1. So again, this is like the same kind of natural race pressure dictates that you're going to be forced off this anchor. So if you're going to be forced, why not go now? But if you go now, you just, because you're absolutely trying to save a gammon here, you give your opponent just the chances that you give your opponent are weighed so much more heavily for him at this match score that you just can't afford to do it, so you don't. And then you see this, like, he hits, and now it was a good, I mean, he hit and covered, which was really good, but now I'm like desperate for a 4. And if I don't roll an exact 4, 3, 1 or double 2, which is only 14 numbers, I could be in trouble. So I created a little bit of difficulty for myself. And then it kind of panned out like this. Ian made a good play making the 10 point, and I rolled a very good number. Pretty easy play, even though it leaves 3 blots. I've got the anchor. Double 3 is a very easy play. And then I played this too quickly. I kind of fell into this trap of suspecting that it was too big to leave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blots. Even though you do really want to stop him from making the anchor, that's true. But just getting it hit back with a single 3 can be very big. And I couldn't rein myself in. And actually, it could have lost me the whole match, this play. This play, as far as things turned out, I was fully in control. Apart from this ridiculous play where, he rolled a double 3, but he could have rolled any 3 really, and then I could be in trouble. So again, 0.07, what does that mean? Who knows what 0.07 means? All I know is that here I just had to sit back and watch. Very good double 3 play, switching, beautiful play by Ian. And I didn't even want to watch, it was just awful. Like double 4, I was like, okay, so I'm going to get backgammoned. The 5-1 was a little bit of a let off because it gives me a chance to roll a 6. And Ian played this really well until, so he's got 38%. It seems like he's got more BGs than the computer says, but like, I'm leading 10-4 and then just to go 10-all, that's absurd. That's just, you can't allow that. You can't allow that. And then look at this. Double 4, like to add insult to injury. No, sort of hitting on granite. 4-2, nothing. So he's got 73% BGs. And then this double 2, I thought he was just checking that this was the wrong play, and he didn't take 4 men off. And this is just another play which just gives up so much. Like, as far as figures go, difference between BGs is difference between 73 and 59. But, if he takes 4 men off, you can just see he's going to backgammon me. He's simply going to do it. And now it's like, I was like, oh my God, I've got a chance. And then 7, even here, you can think about taking a second checker off. No, he can't. Why not? I don't understand why it's such a big blunder. I suppose that when you get hit, you lose so many BGs that you would have won if you don't get hit. So that's a mistake not to fall into. And then I end up scraping a backgammon save. So Ian did so well, but he could have got it to 10-all. And I lost control in that game. It's a huge blunder by me, the 5-2, even though it's only 0.07. And then, I was just happy to have saved the backgammon. 3-6 is an okay roll because he's got a blot on the ace point. And I'm going to hit his back checker. And I didn't know how to play the 5-3, but I was playing quite quickly by now, not taking too much time. And when he hit me with the 5, I was like, oh no, this is just going to be arduous. He has cube, by the way, by now. I'm holding the cube. And then his 4-2 is, again, gives away just too much. He needs to play offensively and try and win a gammon. And there's no game whatsoever in making the 18 or the 20. I mean, there is, but the value is so drastically reduced at this score that you would never do it. Like, you just want to make the 4 point. And then 5-3, 6-1, and I kind of wasn't sure whether I was going to be making the right play here, but I just went for it with the 3-2. I want to make as an advanced anchor as possible, and if I make the 22 points, then I'm like basically priming myself on everything but sixes. But I thought it could well be wrong not to do it because of the score, and then you just roll like the nuts. But not as much of the nuts as my double three, I don't think. Because even when he rolls this, I'm not dead. But it was like, wow, okay, I'm gonna fan. You see, even when that happens, I'm not dead. I come in with a 1, and then again. Okay, no, I take that back. So I don't know if I would have hit on the ace point there. Maybe I would have done. Yeah, but if you do, you have to play 13-9. I can see that. But yeah, okay, fine, fair enough. And I just got the 1. And maybe that 1 saved me. So even when I fan now, I'm okay. I've got a little bit of... What's the word? Having got the 1, I've got a little bit of impetus just to get back in there. And then the double 3 is really helpful. But even before the double 3, I can kind of just roll a 1 and scrape through by not losing a gammon, and that's what I'm trying to do, not get G'd. So 4-1, again a pretty good roll, only giving him 8 numbers: 1, 6, 2, 6, 4, 6 and 5, 6. Double 3 is blocked, and double 2, so 9 numbers. But double 2, he will just point on me on the 3 point. But it's a good roll. It gives me time to escape. And everything sort of went to plan here. So I'm desperate to get my back checkers out. It's very easy to play. He's kind of trying to prime me, but he's also trying to wipe me out. So these trays are tricky. And yeah, I didn't understand his play, which was to hit on the 2 point. I just thought that gives me way too much. As it turned out, it sort of worked out for him. But as I said, my game plan was really clear, and I managed just to eke closer and closer to home. I hit with the 1. I hit with the 1 again, hitting but also coming to the edge of the prime. I managed to roll a number which didn't leave shots. So even now, I'm not too bothered if I don't roll a 3. He's got 5 checkers back. I've got good chances of not getting gammoned. Basically, if you just joined, I'm going through a match that I just played in the UKBGF knockout tournament, which I think has about ridiculous number of players in, like 500 players. Fantastic tournament organised by David Potter and Andrew Selby. So just the kudos for winning this will be high. And I just played the first round against Ian Tarr, and I'm just going through the match. So going back to what happened, I managed to roll the 3, and now it's just a matter of trying to work out when and how I'm going to leave that anchor on the 22 point. But at the moment, the 5-2 is a good roll. Well, a 4 would have been better, but 5-2 is easy enough to play, and then a double 1, I suppose, is easy. He's not going to leave shots. And now this is where I took a lot of time. I'm like always tempted to leave anchors here, but I just realised, like, if I leave the anchor, then even if I do this 22-16 play, which I was tempted into, and even though it does dupe the 4, it just gives him like stuff. It just gives him... This is what it looks like after the play. It just gives him things. And at scores where you're just trying to not to lose the gammon, it's often just right not to give your opponent lots of things, just to maybe make a play which isn't so not dynamic, but actually worsens your position even, but just so you don't give your opponent things that he can do. And I know it's kind of obvious, but I'll just make it clear by stating it. So I was even though I was, notwithstanding the fact I was so tempted to doing that, I just thought, well, it can't be right to do that. I can see if I get hit with a 2 or a 1, I'm gonna be pissed off. So my next kind of go-to play was to hit with the 5 and play 2 to 1, which is just a play that I always see, and it's like somehow attractive to me, and it sort of made sense in that if I get hit back on the 2 point, then at least I haven't left the anchor, and if I don't get hit back on the 2 point, this is what it looks like after the 5-1 2 to 1 play, then I can like cover it with 5s or 6s, and I can escape with 4s. So I've got good 6 5s and 4s, which is not a bad thing. But then I was really pleased I took time over this, and I just realised, like, well, if I'm not going to come out, why give him a shot at all? And even though the 8 point has some value, the value of breaking the 8 point is that you don't have to make any of the other shitty plays. So I did that, and it was actually the right play. And admittedly, I knew that I was going to have some more tough plays if I didn't roll an exact like 6-5 or 5-2, which I didn't. I rolled a 6-3, and I initially thought I could just hit making this play here 7 to 1 6 to 3, and I sort of thought, well, this cannot be right to force yourself to roll a 2 or a 6 to make the ace point. And if he hits back, or if he doesn't, you've got like, well, if he hits back, you've got 2 checkers on the 3 point. It can't be good. So I discounted it. You see, this is the problem. When you don't have the evaluation, you don't know how much better or worse any player is than the other. So I thought, well, I'm going to come out. And then it was a question of, do I come out to the 16 or do I come out to the 13? And I kind of didn't really think it through. And I don't fully understand. And I kept thinking about duplicating the 4. But it's far more important to duplicate the 1. So I'm just working this out now. Why is it far more important to duplicate the 1? Because the 1 and the 2s here are the numbers that he wants to use the most, and far more than the 4 he needs to bring the checker up from the 24. So his priority massively is to hit you, not to escape. So duping the 1 and the 2 is far, far better. And then I realised I got away with one. Like, he rolled like, I don't think there's a worse number. And it's a massive joker. I didn't know what he should play. I admittedly didn't see this coming out with 2 play. But, you know, maybe I would have found it, because he can't just give up and play 13-5. And then it was going to be easy for me. Most of my plays are play okay, so 5-1, just make the point, and then I got lucky enough to make it easy, and then I just brought it home. And that was pretty much that. You know, even though I actually ended up leaving a shot, he has an open 6 point, so I've got decent chances, even if I get hit, having 5 checkers off and an open 6 point, and I managed to bring it home. Yeah, so thank you all for watching. I won't fail to mention that I do have the Patreon page up, so yeah, just if you feel you got anything out of this, why not go and just click, and you can donate very, very tiny, negligible amounts. Alternatively, I'll leave my PayPal in the box. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate the likes and everything. Just lets me know that it's making sense. And catch you guys next time. Bye.